Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we will learn very important topics, very important concepts. Sometime this is asked for 5 marks or maybe 2 marks, like in the JNT exams, right? In unit first, from the unit first, right? So this is Dr. Anil from Anil Kumar Sahu from Associate Professor ECE from Bharat Institution of Engineering and Technology, Hyderabad. Now, our today's topics of presentation is the scaling of you can say scaling of the MOSFET. Now, everyone is aware about the what we mean by the MOSFETs, right? So, MOSFET is nothing but the metal oxide field effect transistors. This is metal. M stands for metal, right? M stands for metals, S stands for oxides, right? We know that this is metal, this is for stand for oxide, this stands for semiconductor. So everyone is very well know about the metal. What do you mean by the metal? What do you mean by the oxide? Which oxide we are using for constructions of NMOS and PMOS? Basically, we are using the oxide SiO2 layer. SiO2 layer we are using for the constructions of either NMOS or PMOS. And we know that the semiconductor, that is either silicon or germanium. These are the I think these are the terms is clear now. What do you mean by the scaling? These things we will learn, right? So can you means you can assume in the 1960, or you can assume 1960 your computer, right? You can think about the computer. This computer, the size of computer, right? Basically we will talk about the size of computer in 1960 or 65, you can say. It is around it is the around one room. It's the size is around one room, right? One room. But now technology is advanced, right? This computer size is how much? Now it is a one room, but technology is advanced, right? As the technology is advanced, technology, right? Technology, which technology? Which technology means from SSI, MSI, then LSI, then VLSI. So and now we are in the ULSI. So as technology is increasing, what happening? This size, the size of rooms, the room size is the size of computer is now you can see now there is a drastic change. Now it is in the form of laptop, you can see, right? Or it is in the form of desktop, you can see, right? So here you can see there is a huge changes. Here the size is this is a portable size. Now it is a portable size, right? In 2021, or even mini also. Even this size is the second. Just a minute. Uh, 25. ठीक है. Okay, so here now, mm, here now, you can see the size is very portable now, right? The size is you can say reduced. So this reduction of size is depend upon the what kind of transistor we are using, what kind of device we are using, right? So here we are using the transistor. We are using the transistor for the design of processor and all. So this time the size of transistor is bigger one, right? And here this side the device size is bigger, but this side, if you think about the microprocessor or any processor or Pentium processor or microprocessor or processor of the laptop. This side transistor is used to design a processor. Means here for designing a computer we required billion of transistors. So now the billion of transistor is fabricated, billion of transistors is fabricated in one chip, right? So here the size is lower. The transistor size, transistor size is lower now. Is lower now, or you can say very short, lower now. So you can think that how it is possible, right? How it is possible? This is possible. How this is possible? Because of the scaling. Because of the scaling means suppose we are having the transistors of this size and we want to reduce the size, right? So size of the transistor. Suppose this is your NMOS transistor, right? This is the source, this is the drain, this is the gate, right? This is a NMOS, this is N plus P, right? This is NMOS. So we want to reduce the size of this device, right? So for reduction of the device, we require the concept of we require the concept of scaling, right? So this is a metal layer, this is metal, this is the drain, this is source. So so scaling is, we will see ahead, means exact definition of the scaling, but scaling can be used to reduce the size of reduce the dimension of the device. Scaling is used to reduce the dimension of the device. This thing you have to remember. So now come to the what we will cover today. We will cover Moore's law, why scaling is required, what types of scaling is there. So because of scaling, what kind of effect is there. So in this there are two effects: short channel effects and narrow width effect. And if you are having any query, we will discuss the query also. Why Moore's law come into the picture while discussion about the scaling? So we know that if you talk about the 1960, right? If you talk about the 1960, right? This time the number of transistor is this much, right? The number of transistor is 1000, right? For the 4004 processor. For this processor, the number of transistor is 1000. If you go this year, right, the number of transistor is in the range of this about 10,000. Then if you talk about the 8086, the number of transistor is in between the 10,000 to 10,000 to 1 lakh. Same like that. Here we can see that as the year is increasing, the number of transistors inside the microprocessor, the density, the thick, that is a IC chip. Microprocessor is what? Microprocessor is nothing but IC chip. So this IC chip is fabricated with the billion of transistor now. In the 2000, or you can say if you talk about the 2021, this microprocessor Pentium 4, Pentium 5, all these IC chips are fabricated with the billion and trillion of the transistors. Okay, so how this chip density can increase, that can be predicted by how this number of transistor is increasing every 18 months or 24 months. Means 18 months, that means approximately 1.5 month, 1.5 year, and 24 month, that means exactly it is a 2 years. So how it is increasing, that can be predicted by the scientists. This scientist has worked in the Intel, that is a Moore's. Moore's is a Moore, that is the name of scientist is a Moore's, and because he has predicted the rate of increase of chip density or a number of transistor on the chip inside in every 18 months and 24 months. He recognized that the chip density get double. Means what? Moore's law says, according to the Moore's law, the number of transistor on the chip doubled every 18 and 24 months. Suppose in 2020 the chip density is 1 million, 1 billion. Then in the 2021 or 2022, approximately 2 year or 18 year, right? It become 2 billion. So this kind of prediction we can see from this particular figure now. So semiconductor technology will be double, and its effectiveness every 18 months. So you can say every 18 months, that according to the Moore's law, the number of transistors on a chip doubled every 18 months. Right. So this we can see, this is the progress of Moore's law. So here you can see that if you draw this figure from year 1970 to 2000 in x-axis, and here you can see the device. Actually, for the technology node, right? MOSFET, it may be either NMOS or maybe PMOS, right? NMOS or PMOS, your channel length will play very important role. Channel length. So channel length means L. So now you can see that in 1970 the channel length is in the something in the millimeter, something in the micrometer. But if once year is increasing, now it is going to be lowered down from micrometer to around nanometer. So now we are in the 2020. So now the channel length is in the nanometer range, right? So hereafter what happened? The device channel length, where is the channel length? You know that this is a gate, and this is SiO2 layer. This is a source, and this is a gate, right? So between the source and gate, between the source and gate, there is a channel length. So this length is lower down in the nanometer range, right? So beyond certain nanometers, means whenever this channel length L is equal to the diameter of electron, right? So diameter of electron, if you consider it is an electron, right? So the diameter of electron and this channel length is equal, then only, because here in the channel what the things are passes, that electron is passing. So electron can pass whenever the channel having the gap maximum or equal to the diameter of electron. So beyond this, we can't reduce the size. We can't reduce the channel length, right? So this is the situations or end of the Moore's law. Here, approach of the system innovation is different, and this will be changed, right? So now this can be predicted by the National Technology Roadmap for the semiconductors. Who will evaluate this technology? The name of this technology, this is called ITR. National Technology Roadmap for Semiconductor. So here, if you talk about the 1907, the channel length is 200 nanometer. Now 2200, 2005 70, 2008 50, 14 35. Now to 2014 it's a 25. So now you can see that channel length is reducing. Similarly, the required supply voltage, it is also reducing, right? It is also reducing. Now you can see that metal layer, initially the chip is fabricated by 6 metal layer. Now it is we are using more than 14 layers to design or 18 layers to design the your chips. Now power consumption also going to be somewhat reduced. Sorry, power consumption, you can see now these power consumptions are increasing because the chip size is the density of chip is increasing. So now power consumptions are more, right. So this can be evaluated by the National Technology Roadmap for the semiconductor. So these are the basic things required to understand the concept of why scaling is required, right? So the question is why scaling is required. So now scaling is required. Why scaling is required? Because design of high density chip is in the MOSFET technology required high packaging density of the MOSFET, right? And a smaller transistor size. So this is the main reason for scaling is required. Scaling is required in the chip, in the MOS VLSI technology require two things. High packaging density. We want to fabricate more billion of transistors, more smaller chip, smaller IC chips with the billion of transistors, with billion and trillion of transistors, right? So now with the dimension of 10 mm to 10 mm, you can see now million and trillion of transistor is going to be used. So this is possible. The means high density packaging density means billion and billion of transistor of MOSFET can be fabricated inside the chip with the help of scaling only. Now scaling can reduce the size of transistor also. So scaling can use the size of transistor also. So this reduction of size, is K by A scaling, right? This reduction of size is known as K by scaling, right? K by A scaling. So at what factor scaling is done, that is represented by the S. So S is a scaling factor. S is a scaling factor. Now every technology node having 0.7% per changes of size of every year. It means, right. So S is the scaling factor, right? S is nothing but the scaling factor. If scaling factor is greater than 1 has been introduced, so it will leading to reductions of area of particular chip by the factor of S square, right? By the factor of S square. Means suppose initially the size is 10 mm by 10 mm, right? If it is a scaling factor is greater than 1, then what happen? Greater than 1, then what happen? Here, if the initial area is 10 mm cross 10 mm, so now it will be this is the area. But if the scaling factor is greater than 1 for this case, then this will be 1 mm, sorry, 10 mm cross 10 mm, right? Divide by that scaling factor. Suppose Scaling factor is 1.5. So it is 1.5 pi square. So the now after the scaling, the chip size become 100 square divided by 1.5 pi square, that means 2.25, right? So now it become 50 around 50 it's around 40 42 around. So now here the size will be, the chip size is reduced after the scaling. This is the significance of this term. This is the significance of this term. Means whenever the scaling factor is greater than 1, then the area of chip after the scaling is going to be reduced by the factor of s square, right? So this is the scaling. Now what now come to the disadvantage. Now come to the disadvantage. Here the electric field within the gate oxide grow larger, means device size is reduced, so electric field whichever grow in the gate oxide, it will be larger. So now you can see this processor. Now you can see this processor. Processor names are there from 4004 to Pentium 4, now Pentium 5, Pentium 6 also. The number of transistors are increasing, means chip density or chip packaging is increasing. Now you can see now this is the actually three-dimension view of the any MOSFET. MOSFET consists of three terminals: source, gate, and drain. So this is the oxide layer, which is SiO2. The thickness of oxide is POX, right? And this is the channel length L. This is the end diffusion. ND is the end diffusion, and this is the acceptor of P substrate, and this is the depletion width of N channel, and this is the width. This is the width of the MOSFET. So now, how MOSFET can be scaled by the factor S, right? So here you can see that if you want to scale the MOSFET by the factor of S, suppose we want to reduce this particular MOSFET, so we have to change the parameter. Which parameter? Oxide thickness. Suppose initial oxide thickness is POX. So we want to scale, or we want to reduce the dimension of MOSFET. So what we have to do? We have to divide this scaling factor with the original thickness of the oxide layer. So original thickness is a POX and S is the scaling factor. So now after scaling, the oxide thickness becomes POX, right? So simply same thing. Similarly, if you want to scale down the width of the MOSFET, then we have to divide the width of MOSFET by the factor of S. Simply, what we have to do for the diffusion layer, the diffusions, we have to multiply the factor S. Similarly, for the channel length, we have to divide the original channel length by the factor of S. Somewhere it is multiplied, somewhere it is you can see now it is multiplied. So here these are the parameters through which we can scale our MOSFET device. It may be NMOS or it may be PMOS. So I hope so. This thing is clear to you. Means means scaling means reducing the dimension of parameter of the MOSFET. That is called scaling. So here we have to learn what kind of what types of scaling is there. So there are two types of scalings. First scaling is known as constant field scaling. constant field scaling, or in another word you can say full scaling. So there are two types of scaling: constant field scaling and constant voltage scaling. So first of all, we will see that constant field scaling, right? Or that is also known as full scaling. So here you can see in this scaling what we can do. Here we can see what we can do. In this kind of scaling, magnitude of the internal electric field is kept constant, right? Only the lateral dimensions are changed. Means actually here in the constant field scaling means you know that electric field is depend upon the voltage and upon distance. It is the voltage upon distance. So here we have to change the voltage, right? In the constant field scaling, we have to in the constant field is if we want to keep the constant field means voltage can be here the magnitude of electric field we have to keep the constant. So how we can keep the constant? How we can keep the constant means suppose after the scaling we want to keep the constant electric field. So here lateral dimensions are changed. Means we have to change these dimensions, and we have to change the threshold voltage, right? Threshold voltage also we have to change this voltage also. Means here lateral dimensions are changed, which is we can say this is lateral dimensions are changed, and here threshold voltage is also affected. Right? So here you can see now, or this is the original device having the voltage V. This is the you can see now this is the gate, this is the N plus, this is the source, this is the drain, right? So here you can see now after the scaling the device, this device size can be reduced. So in the constant field scaling, what we can do. So initially in the constant field scaling, channel length is L. If you want to do the constant field scaling, while variations of the threshold voltage and while variation of the dimension of lateral dimension, right? Here we have to divide the channel length, original channel length, by the scaling factor, which is S, right? So if you want new channel length L dash, then we have to divide the actual dimension size with the factor of S. So likewise, we can analyze the channel width also. Channel width also reduce same thing, W by S. Gate oxide thickness can be divided by the factor of S. Junction depth can be divided by the factor of S. Power supply voltage. If we power supply voltage also can divide by the factor of S. Threshold voltage can also divide by the scaling factor of S. And doping density, there are doping density for Na and Nd. Na is a doping concentration, doping concentration. Nd is the donor doping concentration. So here a new Na and Nd means here we have to increase the doping concentration while reducing the size of the device. We have to increase the doping concentration. Then only the after the scaling of device, it will behave as a means previous device. Means both the things will work similarly, right? So doping concentration will increase Na and Nd, and all the dimensions like channel length, channel width, QoS, all these dimensions will reduce, but we have to increase the doping concentration. What about the oxide capacitance? Oxide capacitance, it should be increased. Means we have to multiply the factor of S with the COX, drain current, it will be reduced. Power consumption, it will be divided by the factor of S square, and the power density, it can be power density is the ratio of power per unit area. So here there is no change in this particular power density per unit area. Right. So this is the consequence of constant field. Right. How we can do the constant field scaling. So what most significant reduction is there? So power dissipation is reduced using the constant electric field scaling. Power dissipation is reduced by the factor of S square, right? Here the power dissipation is reduced by the initially before scaling. The power dissipation is P, but after scaling, power factor is reduced by S square, right? Suppose S is a one. Suppose S is a 2, right? And power initially it is a 100 milliwatt, right? So after scaling by the S is equal to 2, the P days become what? This is 100 milliwatt, and this become 2 pi square. That means it is a 4. So now a new after scaling, this particular device same device will reduce the power or generating the power consumption, that is 25 milliwatt. So this is added advantage of scaling. This is the added advantage of scaling, right? Now power density remain unchanged. We have seen that here power scale density is remain unchanged. So there is no any product, there is no any multiplication with the S, right? So here now gate oxide capacitance is scaled by Cg by S, right? So overall performance is improvement. Using the scaling, overall performance is improved. Now, if you talk about the constant voltage, second scaling is known as constant voltage scaling. Constant voltage scaling. First one is a constant field scaling, constant electric field scaling. Second one is a constant voltage scaling. So this constant voltage scaling is preferred more, right, compared to the constant field scaling. So why? Because all here is in this kind of scaling, all dimensions are scaled down except power supply and terminal voltage. Means whatever the consequence is there in the constant field scaling, like channel length, channel width, oxide thickness, junction depth, power supply voltage, threshold voltage, doping concentrations, right? So all the dimensions are scaled down by the factor of S, or except power supply and terminal voltage. Means terminal voltage and power supply is unchanged. We will not in the constant field we can see that your voltage is also changed, your power supply is also changed, but here in the here we have to keep constant the voltage. Which one is the voltage in this particular parameter? Which is a power supply. So we have to maintain the constant power supply, right? Means we should not change, we should not reduce or change by the factor of scaling factor S to our power supply and other terminal voltage. Means all the terminal voltage or power supply is remain constant in this particular scaling techniques. So this is the importance of constant voltage scaling, and this is a more preferred one compared to the constant field scaling. So now dimensions, all the dimensions reduced by S, voltage will be remain unchanged. Doping density, here also doping density is increased by the S square. Previously doping density also increases, but the factor of S only, but here the doping concentration is increases by the factor of S square only, right? So and other quantity you can see now: oxide capacitance, drain current, power dissipation. Here the power dissipation is increased in this particular constant voltage scaling. Power dissipation is increased, right? And power density also increase, right? So this is some sort of changes we can see now in the constant voltage scaling. So cons of constant voltage scaling is that increase in the drain current density and power density by the factor of S3 adversely affecting the device reliability. Here in this particular case, we can see now power density is increasing by S square, S the power S cube. So this will give the adverse effect in the particular reduced device. So because of this adverse effect, there is a problem. There will be some problems because of increase of power density. What are these problems? These problems are like electron migration, hot carrier degradation, gate oxide breakdown, and electrical overstress. So there may be chance to occur electro migrations. There may be occur hot carrier degradation, and there may be chance that the gate oxide can be breakdown. There may be chance of electrical overstress, right? So this can be occurred. So now because of the scaling, there are two effects: short channel effects and narrow effects. So what do you mean by the short channel effects, right? So this actually short channel effect, that means when the channel length, like channel length means we are reducing the device. If this reduced channel length or effective channel length is equal to the source and junction depth, means source to junction depth, right? So what happen? There is the effect of short channel, means there is a possibility that the channel can be short, means source and drain can be short, because it is equal to the junction depth. So because of this short channel effect, in this short channel effects come on, in this drain induced barrier lowering effects, surface scattering effect, velocity saturation effect, impact ionization effects, hot carrier effects. All these come under the short channel effect. So here you can see now in this particular figure now, this is junction depletion, this is junction depletion, this is substrate, this is a gate induced barrier, right? And this is n channel, this is the n channel, right? So here you can see now this is the geometry for NMOS. This is the geometry for NMOS. Now you can see first one is the drain induced barrier lowering, that is called DIBL. In the short, you know that potential barrier is controlled by the both VGS and VDS. We know that, right? If the drain voltage is increasing, we know that if drain voltage is increasing, the barrier in the channel decreases. We know that there is a channel between the source, and drain. So the barrier, whenever you are increasing the potential voltage VDS, the barrier is in the channel length is decreasing. So and it leads to the DIBL effects, right? Drain induced barrier lowering effects. So here allows electron which is flow between the source and drain. It is this side is a source, this side is a drain. So here electron can be flow between the source and drain, even VGS is less than VTO. Generally what happens? Generally whenever VGS is greater than threshold voltage, then your device will work. But because of because of this short channel effect, VGS is less than VTO, then also there is flow of electron. So this is called drain induced barrier voltage. Similarly, another types of effect that is known as surface scattering. So here you can see this is the physical dimensions of N-channel MOSFETs, right? So this is due to the surface scattering. Whenever electric field is increasing when VDS is increasing, and mobility become field dependent. So surface scattering occur. Here surface scattering will be occur, and right here this is the oxide. You know that this is the oxide layer, right? This is the oxide layer, right? And this is the space, charge space. This is the charge space region. So here you can see now your scattering will be because here inversion layer is there. This is the inversion layer, right? So here because of your scaling, some of the electron can be scattered in this place, right? Just like that, velocity saturation is there. So velocity saturations, uh, velocity of charge carrier and versus electric field, you can see there are three reasons. So formula for velocity saturation, it is velocity saturation reduce the current in the short channel MOSFET. So there is a formula you have to remember, nothing else for the velocity saturation, right? Here you can see that electric field is increasing. So before the critical electric field, it is increasing. After the critical electric field, it is a constant. Here it is a saturated. This is the saturation region. Now, so then there is another effect which come under the short channel effect. That is the impact ionization. So it is due to high electric field which cause the high velocity of electron. Means whenever you are applying the high VDS, right? High VDS, there is a chance that electron can move very fast, and it will be combined with the whole of the particular substrate, and because of lower down the canal length, it will generate the whole electron pair. It will generate the whole electron pair because high electric field. So that effect is called impact ionization. Means means generating the electron hole pair because of high electric field is called impact ionization. Now another effect is hot carrier effect. Right? Whenever electrons or hole generated by the while increasing the electric field gives sufficient large energy, then what happens to overcome the barrier? There is a barrier. Then get trapped into the oxide layer. Then this is actually this is the gate, and this is the oxide layer, right? So when electron and hole, whenever electron and this hole or this hole and this electron get sufficient large energy, then it overcome the barrier. There may be possible because of high energy between the this subject to this metal, it will overcome the barrier and get trapped into the oxide layer, right? So whenever this electron can trap into the oxide layer, then a hot carrier will generate it. So permanently change MOSFET switching, so it will be changed permanently, the MOSFET switching, right? MOSFET switching characteristics, and it is adversely affect the reliability of the device. So effect, hot carrier effect means there may be possibility to electron can or electron due to electron and hole can gain the sufficient energy, and it can be overcome the barrier, and electron can be trapped in the SiO2 layer. So it will definitely because of this there is a permanent change in the in the MOSFET switching characteristics. So there is a narrow then because of this scaling there is a narrow channel effect also. These things you have to see MOS having the you can see now this. So here MOS having the channel width W approximately equal to depletion thickness XDM is known as narrow channels, and VTO plus, right, overlapping means this channel, this is the drain diffusion, this is the gate, this is the thickness of the field, this is the thin gate oxides. So now narrow channel means channel can become very narrower, right? So because of the shrinking the size of device, and this will affect adversely to the device. So this is the cross-sectional view of the narrow channel MOSFETs. Right. So here now I am closing my